I had hitting coaches that were still trying to work on things and tweak some things for you.
Oh yeah, and that never stops. While you don't change your basic approach, and I always tell my kid or the kids that I coach, stay the course. You may not get a hit, you may be 0 for 10, but we don't change in the box. We don't change our hands. Just stay the course and keep swinging the bat. Now we may want to stay back just a little bit more, but I really believe that even at the big league level, it's more about having a plan going into not necessarily with the game, but more so as you get ready in that on deck circle, having a plan with what I'm going to do. And that's the problem with younger players is they're not mature enough to understand, I got a runner on first and third. I've got one out. I need to try to hook this ball in the hole without a hit and run on to score that run and move that runner to third. So as you grow older, you begin to recognize the situation, and you say, okay, I'm going to take 2 pitches and I'm going to try to bounce one through this hole or get out in front and snatch it through this hole. And if I don't get it now, I've got to run on third with less than 2 outs. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look for a ball up and I'm going to try to hit a fly ball. And so that's really above a lot of these kids' heads right now, but they'll grow into that as they get more at-bats and more coaching under their belt. And I'll give you an example. Mason came up with the bases loaded. I told him, I said, look, man, the situation's not too big for you. You're a good player, not too big. You let this particular situation get too big because you wanted to be the guy, and I appreciate that. I want to be the guy. I want to be the guy in the box, but you don't have to score 3 runs. I said your sole focus is the runner at third, the sole focus. What do I have to do to get that runner in? If the infield's back, I'm going to hit a ground ball. If there's less than 2 outs, you know what, man? I'll probably take a double play if you score the run, if it's the right time of the game. But just your goal is this runner at third. And if you really kind of dumb it down to that, typically better things happen. Now you'll drive in 2 runs because you're not thinking the big picture. You're thinking the narrow picture of I got to get this run home and that's it. Walk, error, hit, double play, doesn't matter. And typically you'll go up there, relax, and bang. And so he's actually taken that into games now. Once it happened earlier this year, and I said just the situation is not too big for you. You let the situation get too big, and that's where you have to step out, take that deep breath, and remind yourself, I need this runner home, and that's it.
Yeah, great takeaway for the players listening. Win the pitch. Just battle, win the pitch, move the runner, and good things will happen. Rusty, another big event that comes to town every year, Battle of the Borders. It's an annual tournament that takes place usually here in North Texas. Last year it was over in Louisiana. With the best teams from Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas. I know you've been a part of that game in the past, as well as your son. These events are great for college prep as well as high school. What would you say about the talent that comes out of this area versus maybe California, Florida, and the East Coast?
Well, I think that I've never been at enough games to compare them. All my games are here in Texas, so I've never really seen games in California or Florida. I know the players that come out of there; they're good players. So I can talk about Texas. What I see in Texas is it's a hotbed. The Dallas-Fort Worth area alone has a boatload of good players, and simply because that the weather's good pretty much all the time, and kids can go practice. And you have talented kids, and once you have talent, and you couple that with hard work and the willingness to work, that's when you see the jumps in these kids make. And so I think that's a tribute to not only the player, but the availability of coaches like myself and different guys, DBat facilities, that kind of stuff, to give these kids an opportunity to go and work, whether it be year-round, 9 months out of the year, whatever it is, to expand on that talent. And when you do that, that's when you really begin to take off. But you can go on our team. We have 6 or 7 Division I commitments, and so that's just on one team. But we're not any different really than any of the 5 or 6A teams. There's a bunch of Division I players committed to college to play, and so that's just in one little spot. And if you expand that, they're all over the place.
And for college recruiting as well as Major League, coming into Dallas-Fort Worth, you can see a lot of players at a lot of fields, and just a couple days on your recruiting visit, so that makes it convenient as well. Speaking of recruiting, I met you a couple years ago at the Metro Scout League over in McKinney, Texas, at the ballparks at Craig Ranch. Metro Scout League is another marquee event that just happens on Sundays to give both scouts at the college level and major league an opportunity to come out and see a bunch of kids. Back then, they had a clover leaf, so you could see 4 games at once. Unfortunately, that's changing due to the growth of the Dallas-Fort Worth area and construction. I don't know if you're aware, but those ballparks are shrinking out there. So whoever's listening that wants to build some baseball parks in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we could use some. What would
I know where some property is too.
Yeah. For our audience, what would you tell a developing player they need to be doing to get to that next level from high school to college?
For me, it's people say you don't need to play year round. You don't. I believe in today's world, in this area, it's almost just the opposite. And I'm not saying if you're a pitcher you need to play year round, but I'm saying if you're a high level player that has a desire to play college baseball or pro baseball, you need to keep that skill going year round, whether it be fielding ground balls, taking BP, having active rest and throwing, where you're throwing a couple days a week versus every day. And with the summer baseball, you can play as much as you want. I think it comes down to understanding that I have to work, I have to have quality work, and I need to be with somebody that knows what they're talking about. And it's okay to focus on yourself. Let's take the fall and winter, for example. What I do at the Parks at Texas Star is focused on the individual. But that individual gets better over the course of 5 months, which then helps his team. But his game is improved. It's okay to focus on yourself. And there's times when you need to do that. And that's part of that year-round playing is when I say year-round playing, you're not playing tournaments year-round. But you're working year-round. You're out taking ground balls. You're out throwing. You're out swinging a bat. Now, tournament time comes, you're ready. So I would just say it's work. You have talent, work, cultivate that talent, and let it grow. And then don't panic, meaning you may be a good player and it may be your junior year and you haven't gotten a scholarship offer. There's no reason to panic. All your buddies may be, but those guys get paid to watch games and coach baseball, and they'll find you. Just like we said earlier, they'll find you. Just stay the course. Stay the course.
Great message on being patient and persistent as a ball player. Rusty, I was talking with Cade and Kyle Griffiths, founders of DBat, the other day, and mentioned you were coming on the show. Cade told me you coached a very salty team, a 17U team, I believe back in 2008. And what's amazing, you mentioned the talent in this area, and those kids may have come from different parts of the state, but 7 of the 9 starters on that team went on to be drafted. Is that right?
Yeah, there was 7 for sure, and there may have been a couple more than that. I know that some of the kids got drafted, made it to A-ball, and then got released. But I want to say there was 10 or 11. Wow. Yeah, 10 or 11 that were actually drafted or went on to play some sort of pro ball. But that team was really, really, really good. We were, 48 and something, and we had 64 or 69 home runs in that many games, and we swung the bat. And we hit 9 home runs in one game.
Cade mentioned, this team could flat out hit.
Yeah.
And I think some of the players, just to kind of take you back memory lane, it wasn't too long ago, just 9 years ago, Slade Heathcott, Tyler Collins, Max Muncy, Abel Baker, Brett Doe, Josh Turley, and Preston Beck were just some that came up. And you mentioned off air, some of those guys, they still playing in the big leagues?
Yeah, last I know of, Collins is, and Muncy, and I know some guys are up there in their particular organizations as far as where they are in the minor leagues, AAA, and bouncing back and forth. So really, really good players, and I was fortunate to be a part of them, but it was just fun to go. And the year before, I had coached in the Texas Collegiate League, and it was a wood bat league. And so to go from that, where there was no action, to aluminum bats with the talent that was on this team,
oh, wow.
It was fun because it wasn't a question of were we going to score. It was how are we going to score and how many were we going to score? And we scored every way possible.
Cade mentioned you even played in a wood bat tournament with this team, and everybody's scared to pitch to you. I mean, you were just destroying the ball.
we could swing it, and I mean, top to bottom, our 9-place hitter had 9 home runs. And he had a huge grand slam out in Arizona against Trombley. We were only a 17-year-old team out in Arizona at the WABC qualifier. They were running left-handers out there throwing 92 and 93, and he hit a grand slam in the 3rd inning or something like that, and we won the game. So we could swing the bat, and we could pitch too. We had 2 or 3 guys that pitched, and Slade Heathcott, he was a 5-tool player. He was a number 1 draft pick, and he was our center fielder and our closer. He threw 95 off the mound, left-handed. So it's just a really talented team. It was fun to be around.
You've coached a lot of kids, made an impact on a lot of young men, which is fantastic. That's what coaches do. Do you stay in touch with some of your former players?
I do occasionally. For me, I like to. One of the mantras of my school is having a positive impact. And I like to have that impact, but I don't like to take credit. I just want them to be better players. And so when they go on and do their things, I might say them, "Hey man, how's it going?" And keep up the good work. But as far as staying in constant contact, I really don't. I see them from time to time and watch the guys that I know on TV. I watch them on TV, and I'm a fan, just like anybody. But it's fun to see. Like I said before, I love amateur baseball. It's fun to see these young players develop and grow, and next thing you know, they're starting on their varsity, and then they're going to college, and then they get drafted. Next thing you know, you look on TV, and there's Tyler Collins, and so it's kind of cool to see.
A lot of times I'll go sit on literally a coaching bucket, sit down there and talk with Cade and Kyle Griffiths. That's where a lot of the stories are told. Kyle was telling me about how this won't resonate with you, Rusty, but we call it at DBat the RG33. It came to be a product at DBat Sports. It's a fungo. Yeah. Do you remember that story?
I don't remember the story. I do know this. I had a fungo, and it was a shorter fungo. And I called Kate and I said, I don't know where this fungo came from, but can you make one? It's a cupped fungo. It's a 33-inch short fungo because all the other fungos are 35 inches. I couldn't stand them.
36,
yeah.
I
couldn't stand them. And so he said, yeah. So he sent me one. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And so, but I don't remember the backstory, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and he made it special. So,
yeah, I think it was at DBat Addison. You were coaching the team, and they had ordered you, I think, a 36-inch fungo, and the way Kyle tells it, you've got it out there, and you're used to swinging. I don't know, in the big leagues you swing a 32,
34, yeah.
34.
Yeah.
But that 36-inch fungo, you didn't have as much control as you like. So he said, "Hey, can you find me anything shorter?" And you found something, and we still offer it today. Matter of fact, Coach Schlossnagel on the TCU staff, we took some fungos over there recently, and he ordered 2 RG33s.
Is that right?
Yeah, Rusty Greer.
And that's exactly right. I couldn't. I still to this day don't like long fungos, and the part about it is I've actually got a DBat fungo that I use, and it is longer. It's probably 35, but it's heavy. It's a heavy fungo, and all these other fungos that are 36s are super light, and I couldn't control them. I like that one, but I like that short one because I can manipulate it and hit it and do what I wanted to with it.
Yeah, I'm sure by now you've mastered the fungo work. But hey, Rusty, another story that came up. This is something that a lot of fans, Texas Ranger fans, might recall, the Ken Guthrie story. Take us through that one. He was a Rangers bullpen catcher at the time, and the way the story goes, he marked up a baseball during a road trip game out in San Diego, and I think you were getting on him about, hey, throw me the ball, so you could warm up out there in the outfield, and it happens in baseball, shenanigans. We all like to have some fun, and evidently he wrote something on the ball, threw it out to you, and had no idea the ball was going to end up in the hands of a Padre fan.
Yeah, he put something redneck on there. I won't tell you what the something was. Anyway, the ball got tossed in the stands, and that's on there. But it was addressed to me because you have to understand that the real world is not a major league clubhouse, and things going in there, the razzing, the joking, the ragging goes on in there is a constant. Or back then it was a constant. It never stopped. And the other ball got thrown in the stands, and the next thing you know, Rangers were called, and we had I think the organization had to apologize and all kind of different stuff. So it was funny.
That Padre fan didn't think it was too funny.
No,
I think they could have just laughed it off.
Yeah, no.